Welcome to Wandering Monsters, the show where we find weird games and play them because we love to. I'm Aaron Shaw.
And I'm Sarah Willis. This week on Wandering Monsters, we tried out Cart Life.
Yeah.
Cart Life is by one-man dream team Richard Hofmeier. Came out earlier this year. It's won quite a few indie game awards. It picked up 3 awards at the IGF, the Independent Game Festival.
Including the best of.
Yeah, it won. It took it.
Yes.
It took the festival. And it's got a pretty good Metacritic score if we're using that as any kind of judgment. But we're not, because this game's just
It was difficult.
harmful to me.
Let's explain the premise here first before we get any further. So the premise is you're playing as one of 3 characters who, through various reasons in their situations in their life, have to run a food cart. One of them, the one that you're seeing right here, is the one we are basing most of this on, is Melanie. She runs a coffee hut.
A little coffee cart.
Runs a newspaper stand. Mm-hmm. And then the third character, which is only if you get the paid version, you get Vinny, who runs a bagel cart.
Yeah, $5 on Steam, and you get hopped up on caffeine Vinny. Otherwise, you can play this game for free.
For free, yeah, from richardhofmeier.com or whatever.
Wherever he is. Google it.
Google it. So basically, that sounds like a normal video game premise, and in a normal video game, you would do things like, I don't know, buy, ingredients and stock them, and then have interactions with customers.
Yeah, it's not like we haven't played a game like this before. We did Recettear, which was,
Sure.
running an item shop, so it was like the fantasy version of this, and we gave it quite high remarks.
I love Recettear. This one is an exercise in masochism, as the best I can describe it. It is painful to play. They don't explain the things they need to explain. They spend a lot of time explaining stuff that doesn't make a difference.
No, they gave us a whole tutorial on how to press our space bar. A really awkward tutorial, too, because they're talking like it's in real life, and then they start talking about their space bars all of a sudden. And, they show us some basic menu, stuff we didn't really need to know. I could have figured it out. They could have just said space bar's menu and been done with it. But then, some of the stuff that's really important, for instance, Melanie's whole thing is she's going through a divorce, and she has a young daughter who's 11 or something, who's in grade school, and she needs to go pick her up from school. Now, if we're playing as Melanie knows where the school is, so we as the player should be told where the school is, because that is basic information that Melanie has available to her. But no one told us where the heck the school is. And then when it was time to go pick up our daughter, guess what? We didn't, because we couldn't find her.
Well, we couldn't figure out where the school was. We went to where we thought the school was, and there was nobody there. So then we went home and got berated by our sister, rightfully so, because we apparently abandoned our daughter. And
no, it was just it was so awkward. I've never been so... I don't know. There's never been a time in my life where I've played a video game and it's made me feel that awkward. I just wanted to just walk away. I wanted to turn it off. I wanted everything to stop. It was just uncomfortable.
Well, part of the reason is that we're so used to playing video games where if you foul up royally, there's a way around it. You can try again. I kept expecting the game to be like, you failed, try again, load from the last save point, and it didn't. It just went on and on and on, and they started discussing whether they should call the police or whether she should call her ex, the guy she's getting divorced from, to see if he picked her up. And, you're faced with these questions like, should we just let it go and see if she comes home on her own? Or
no, it was so awful. And then, the ex finally brings her over, and the kid's not very happy. The thing about this game that I think makes it so uncomfortable to play is maybe its accuracy. It is very realistic. These conversations are just uncomfortably realistic.
Sure.
And it's not something you want to participate in. That's not the reason I want to play a video game.
Well, and you can feel the awkward. It's weird. Playing this game throws a sharp contrast to how polished and how kind of cut down that most conversations are in video games. They cut all of the fat out, and they don't have meaningless, most of the time, meaningless conversations. They all carry some import, whereas in this game, there's a whole lot of meaningless conversations.
No, everything sounds like a very real conversation. And when you're dealing with situations like, why didn't you pick up your daughter? Time got away from you. It's just like, it's an awkwardly
Here's
realistic.
Us attempting, this is us at where we thought the school was.
Yeah, looking around.
And there's no one there.
Yeah, none of the locations on the map really gave us a clue as to where the school was. And it might have been... the fact might have been hidden somewhere. We played Vinny briefly, and like one of the locations we needed was in this little notebook he was carrying on him, but we didn't really find anything like that. We searched over the house, we tried to figure it out, and
we tried to talk to people and just got the same responses over and over again. Yeah. We couldn't. There was a thing saying, Laura is arriving today, but never told you when or where.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, the parts of this game that are really realistic and true to life and uncomfortable and don't make really the game fun don't necessarily make it a bad game, because as sort of this weird thought experiment, it's actually very successful. But there is a problem when, there's basic information given to us, or not given to us, that we need to complete an obstacle. And it's information that character would have, so there's no reason that we wouldn't have it. That's sort of game breaking. Sure.
It seemed like an interesting game, which is why we chose it for our series, and it is an interesting game. But it doesn't. There are many aspects of it that are uncomfortably ungame-like, and I suppose we'll get into that. We should probably do our pros and our cons. We've given you the gist of the game for now.
Yeah.
We have some goods. I'm going to do the goods this time around. We'll start with that. The first thing is, as you can probably guess from what we've been talking about, it does have some insightful social commentary, and not so much Melanie's, but some of the other stories talk a lot about how tough it is to be, poor and have to worry about and try to, make rent every week. And Vinny has to make rent every week, and you got to worry about, can I afford to spend, this money on ingredients or whatever?
Right.
I have to manage my own food budget, stuff like that. It's very nice in that manner. As you can tell by the art style, it's very aesthetically pleasing. It's kind of retro black and white feel to it.
Like the black hole that it is.
Yeah, it definitely is a very noir feel to it. And then the third thing is when you do actually get to the mechanics of making stuff and
running
vending,
the stand,
whatever. They're actually interesting mechanics in the way that lots of games like this have. And then Sarah's going to do the bads.
Yeah, the things we didn't like about that is, like we said, there's a learning curve to this game. It seemed unnecessarily hard, which would be funny, I guess, if we're saying that this game is an analog for life, that life is
life
hard
is really hard,
doesn't come with an instruction
terrible.
booklet. But, as a game, some things were explained to us ad nauseum, and other things that we felt really needed to be explained to us were not. And it just seemed unbalanced that way, and yeah, not good.
Yeah.
The other thing was, even though we didn't have a ton of first-hand experience with this, in our sort of research for this game, we read a lot of reviews and stuff, and we found a lot of reports of just horrible bugs in this game.
Game-breaking bugs. Yeah, nearly every review I've read and everything I've done for the research mentioned it at least once. We didn't run into any, which may just mean we were lucky.
We also, we were so bothered by what happened between Melanie that we were just like, ugh.
But yeah, apparently beware that there may be some game-breaking bugs involved.
And then, thirdly, it's not fun. I did not have fun with this game. And I mean, I understand that, as this sort of super indie social commentary piece, it is very successful as sort of, like we said, a thought experiment. But for the purpose of the show and for the purpose of what we're talking about, we want to recommend games that are really enjoyable.
No.
And this was not enjoyable.
If you want to try it out, I recommend getting the free version first. Try it out, see if you like it, then you can decide whether you want to spend
there's nothing wrong with
$5.
free. You're only going to gamble your time, so... No. Yeah, try it out, but as far as purchasing goes, we're not going to give this one a very solid recommendation.
No recommendation on this one. So that's it for us this week, and we'll be back next week with more weird games.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
With more
Don't make
weird
promises
games.
we can't keep.
We'll see you then.
Bye.